Hello, everybody. Welcome into the OEFC West Person Behind the Coach podcast, series one and episode one, our very first podcast with one of our coaches. We're very excited about this podcast series. We feel it's going to be a real unique insight into who are our coaches, who are the people that are leading our players and taking charge of our teams, and just getting to know their background and get some thoughts on them and get to know them a little bit better. Before we jump right into meeting our first coach, we've got a few housekeeping items in terms of stuff that's going on. We did get another update. Today's May 1st. If you're listening in the future, it is my sister's birthday today, May 1st, so happy birthday, Gemma. But we did get another email update from Oklahoma Soccer Association, so we are still looking at May 15th as a restart date. It does mean that we can't be practicing and playing before then, but it does mean as soon as that date comes, we can kind of jump back into training and getting together a schedule to resume our season. Now, we will be putting out some guidelines and some ideas to the coaches and the teams to maintain certain safety standards and ensure there's certain guidelines, but we're certainly really excited with the possibility of getting back out there and working with our teams. We do have our tryouts released, so we're looking at June 4th and 5th as tryout camp, and June 6th will be our tryouts and team placement. So make sure you check that out. We'll continue to put information out on that. But we do encourage that we get registered for that. If you're a returning player or a potential new player that's looking to come into the club and try out, please go ahead and register, especially in the times that we're currently in. It just really helps us from an organizational standpoint to ensure that we know the numbers and we can really plan accordingly. So make sure you check out our website, westokcsoccer.com. Follow the link through to our tryout page and then get registered. On that page as well, you can see the coaching slate. We've released it on our social media outlets, but it's also on our website. Really excited about the staff that we've been able to assemble. A lot of guys that have been here for many number of years and really laid the foundation, and then some new faces as well that we feel are really going to come in and impact it in a positive way. So check out the coaching slate, check out your age group, and have a look at who the coach is going to be for next year. So with all that said, that's enough from me. We certainly want to move on and get to know the person behind the coach. So without further ado, I'll introduce our first guest. He's certainly goes without saying, a bit of a legend of the club. He's been here from the beginning. He's working currently with our 02 and 03 groups, and taking them into next year. Originally from Bethany, Oklahoma. I want to welcome first guest Brandon Randell.
How are you, Danny?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us. How's things?
Good, yeah. Glad to be here, man. Doing good on a Friday.
That's right. Yeah, sunny Friday, a little bit windy, but life is good when we've got that date in the distance to kind of look forward to get back out onto the fields.
Yeah, really excited about it, man. Really excited. We're missing the game quite a bit.
Awesome. Well, let's jump into this. Obviously, originally from Bethany, Oklahoma. So just tell us a little bit about life growing up, and then how did you get introduced to soccer and fall in love with the game?
Sure, yeah. From Bethany, grew up there and just went to Bethany High School. Got into soccer, playing on the playground at recess with some guys, and one of the kids said he felt like it would be a good thing for me to come join his team. Really recruited me at 8 years old to come join his recreational team, and came to one practice, and the coaches were pretty excited about me joining up, and kind of went from there and played recreationally out at Northwest Optimist. DeLisi Park is what most people call it.
Yeah.
And did that for several years before I turned 11 and joined competitive soccer. played in basically the same system that our kids play in now. It's the same OSA divisions that we had back then. Obviously, it's changed quite a bit.
Just a little bit
since I was a kid. Well, it changed a lot, in the 8 years or 9 years that I played in it, and yeah. But that's how I came up playing. Got my start as a kid that got recruited on recess because I was big and fast, probably.
Yep. That's all you need. A couple of good traits, and then you're in the door, and no turning back from there.
Sure.
So obviously, kind of growing up recreational, then transitioning into competitive soccer. At a certain point, there must have been, and maybe there's not that one moment, but when did you really kind of know that, okay, soccer's for me, and you kind of grew to fall in love with the game?
Sure. 1994, U.S. hosted the World Cup. It was the most exposure to a top level that anybody around here had gotten, maybe ever. So watching those games that summer was actually the first year that I'd done a tryouts at the U11 age for competitive soccer. There was no academy at that time, so you went straight from recreational into competitive. And at about that time, I was starting to do the competitive, which required more time, more focus, and my parents, who had allowed me to play every sport I wanted to, kind of put a hold on that and said, let's get more focused on some things. And I was given the choice between soccer and baseball, which both required a lot of travel and time. And I picked soccer. Baseball was a game where you had to sit there half the time and watch your teammates hit. I love soccer because I was able to play the whole game, or as most of the game as a player, always involved.
Right.
And but between those two things, basically having to choose wasn't that difficult of a choice, but getting to say just the international level, so close to home, and the effect it had in the way people kind of were drawn to it was really the point for me where I started to love the game.
Very cool. That's awesome. Yeah. So how old did you say you were when the World Cup was?
I would have been 10, turning 11.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Any memories from then? Certain games you watched, or certain players from that World Cup?
Well, you watch. Obviously, you watch your team. Watch the U.S. play back then with John Harkes, Ronaldo, Lexi Lawless.
Right.
Just big characters that we had never seen. Colby Jones, obviously a big favorite for everybody. He had the fun hair and he was creative with the ball. And those guys were, it was just, you'd seen them play 3 times, and then you get to see him play 3 times in 2 weeks, and the coverage was real. And obviously, watching that World Cup final with Italy and Brazil going into penalties and Baggio hitting one over the top, but getting to see that Brazilian team that knocked out the U.S. with the original Ronaldo, Rivaldo, and those guys playing, was just unbelievable talent.
Yep. No, that's big time, and I'm sure that was, for a lot of your generation, probably a big turning point in terms of, okay, that this game is real, and it's really got an opportunity to grow in the US. And
absolutely,
I think where we are now is just night and day, I'm sure, from what you had. But in terms of other teams, like you obviously enjoyed watching the US national team, but we don't have to guess too much on who your other love is in terms of being a fan and being a supporter. So tell us a little bit about why West Ham.
Well, growing up, what you saw a lot of was the English Premier League in America. And as I was growing up, the team that almost everyone supported here was Manchester United. You had your Liverpools, you had your Chelseas, but Man United was the predominant fan base in the United States. And it seemed as though most of the games that we got live were Manchester United games. It's like whatever game they played that weekend was the game that got seen. So everybody was a fan of United.
Right.
Obviously, gigantic names: Beckham, Scholes and Giggs, even Keane back when I was younger. were guys that were going to draw people to the TV. It made sense to show them.
Sure.
When I was younger, I got to see West Ham play a couple of times, and again, they had a player who I thought was just head and shoulders above most of the competition. That was Decano, Italian player who is famous for his scissor kick volley goal that he scored. It's on all the great goal videos.
Right.
But just his ability to play within the game. He was technical, but he was so smart about it. It was just intriguing for me to watch him. Then years later, when West Ham traded for Tevez and Marciano at the end of the trade cycle, lower ranked team looking at relegation, came into the last game of the season against Manchester United. They needed a tie to stay in the Premier League out of relegation, and United needed a win to win the league. And Tevez scored late 89th minute to tie the game, which took a championship away from Manchester United and kept West Ham in the Premier League. And from that point on, I was like, okay, this is my team now. A bunch of blue collar guys doing the work.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, I remember that. I remember that game well. Tevez and Mascherano had no business being at West Ham, and I know. Recently they've tried to kind of rebuild with the new stadium and everything into kind of a top 6 club, but it's not quite gone that way as of yet. But
it's hard in that league. Hard in that league.
A lot of passionate supporters, and no, that's pretty cool. I think there's a lot. I think a lot of these podcasts will be talking about Man U with certain coaches. So I'm glad you have a little bit of a unique insight, and I'm also glad you support West Ham because of Di Canio and not Celtic, because he was there as well.
That's right.
But a phenomenal player, and that goal is just like grace and technique personified, and like you said, it's shown all over the place. So very cool. If you've not seen it, make sure you guys go check it out and try and recreate it for sure. In terms of, we spoke a little bit about the World Cup and then English Premiership. There probably wasn't a huge amount of access compared to what there is now to going and watching a professional game. I know the Roughnecks were in the NASL in Tulsa, and then we had the Oklahoma City Slickers that brought a certain level to the game and brought some competition. So is there any kind of memorable games or anything that you went to as you were growing up as a player?
Sure, yeah. We went to actually the Slickers played indoor in a semi-professional league, and actually played out of ISA, which everybody knows, on the big field on the east side. And we'd go to a lot of those games. We were indoor rats growing up. It was a little bit different back then. Obviously, now we have futsal, which I believe is a better teacher, a better builder for skills than indoor. But back then, we'd play indoor pretty much year round. So big fans of that type of soccer growing up. And we'd always go watch those Slickers games, and there might have been 200 people there, and it seemed like 2,000. Playing the music, just a good atmosphere. And you get guys like a Mikey Williams, who was young, playing on that team, and then you get to age 20, 22, and you're playing men's Division I indoor against Mikey Williams. Now, still really good, not as fast as he was at 18, but still really good player.
Right.
But that was special for us because they were our team, here in Oklahoma City.
Sure.
Get to go down to some Dallas Burn games, obviously FC Dallas now, see those MLS games. Always wanted to go when Columbus was coming. Brian McBride's and Frankie Hejduk's wanted to see those guys play.
Big time. No, that's awesome, and I think Oklahoma's been crying out for that level of soccer, so that fans and people can get behind it. So it was obviously that's what you had at the time, and I'm sure that the level of play was probably pretty good. I'm sure there was a lot of people that doubted a team from Oklahoma City, but from the stories I've heard, there was some great talent and a lot of good times.
They had some players, man.
Yeah, big time. Well, in terms of we spoke about teams. What about players? Any role models that you really try to emulate as you were playing and progressing and trying to develop? Who were your role models? Who did you idolize growing up?
Sure. U.S. player, Frankie Hejduk. As I was getting older, I started playing defender more, and he was an outside defender primarily, but his ability to affect the game from a outside back's role, he'd get up and down the wing, he'd do all the work into the attack, he'd do all the work getting back. Just a guy that uh, was a leader for his team, was a hard worker. Wasn't the most technical, but he'd tackle hard. Not a big guy, but he got into everybody. And watching him play, I remember we watched him play U.S. Mexico game once, and I think we counted 8 or 10 fouls that he had committed without getting a red card somehow. But was a guy that you could tell that had an effect, an impact on the game and on his teammates. Was a leader on the field, and I always liked that about him. Just a big personality player, playing in what, for the most part, especially at that point in time, the outside back's not a glamorous role.
Right, at the time, for sure. And no, I think it's really interesting you bring that specific player and the type of traits that he brought to his team. A lot of people pick, the glamour player with the talent and the tricks and everything, but it only gets far, and I think it's a good thing for young players to understand that, whatever technical traits you have, and of course that's essential, and we want to focus on developing them, that it's only half the job, and you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have that grit and determination and kind of will to win, then it makes it tough. So that's an interesting choice, but I certainly like that. You went from Bethany, recreational, competitive, played through high school,
Sure.
and then you obviously stuck around in Bethany. You end up going to Southern Nazarene University and playing college soccer there. Tell us a little bit about that experience for you.
Okay. In 2003, I was a senior in high school, made Oklahoma All-State, and was recruited to go to Southern Nazarene University. Had some other offers, but I didn't want to necessarily stay so close to home, but it was the best team that wanted me, and it turned out to be a great choice for me. Made a lot of friends inside that team. Came in as a freshman, wasn't fully prepared physically, and learned that lesson, and was able to proceed through the next 3 years, have quite a bit of success with the group. Obviously, maybe not so obviously for those that don't know, the boys team at SNU back when we were playing there, Coach Nick Burleson, Coach Thomas Saranga at our club were on those teams. National tournament team semifinalists my junior year. Just getting to play with guys from all different cultures. One year we had a player from every continent on Earth besides Antarctica.
Wow.
Which was really special thing for us. That you get to play with guys that have trained all over the world, learning in different ways, and sort of the melting pot of it all coming together was really a special thing for us.
Sure. No, that's big time, and it just speaks to the game. Obviously, you can come from whatever background, religion, race, whatever, but if you've got a ball and set up to get a little game of soccer going or football going, it truly brings people together, which is what I really love about it. But that's huge. We've all heard the stories about SNU being truly pretty special group. Even when I came in several years later, those players were still spoke about. So speak a little bit about maybe one or two players during your time there that had an impact on you, and that you really enjoyed your time with.
Yeah, sure. Coach Nick Burleson with our club was there for 2 years, my first 2 years, his last 2 years. Just a guy that you come in from a local standpoint, and you're trying to work your way into a squad full of impressive players and kind of earn your spot. And to see what he was able to do, how he was able to be a key player, a local kid in an international lineup, was something special to me because it showed me by example of how I could earn my spot in the same way, just doing the work when no one's looking, going the extra mile, being somebody who would do anything to win. That's what Nick Burleson was about, and he was voted by the team as the most inspirational player, and I think that was spot on.
Wow.
Back then, he was a guy that everybody looked to. He got high energy guy, somebody that could stand up to any adversity and work his way through it. And it was always an inspiration to me getting to play next to him.
No,
also, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just that's really interesting. And again, you obviously made that transition as a local player into a college program. With, let's be honest, there was guys that were playing a very, very high level before they came to SNU.
Right.
But for you to pinpoint, the local guy that was able to really force his way into it, again, it kind of speaks a little bit towards what we're trying to do to prepare our players. You're stepping into it's a level above, and now you got to do those kind of non-negotiables, those ugly parts of the game to force your way in there. Listen, it's a college program; it's not just going to be handed to you. So I think that's one of the things that prepares you really well for the groups that you're working with.
Sure. And another example of a guy that I really looked up to was a guy named Dominic Niaga, Burkinian player that came. It was actually a freshman when I was a freshman, so we went through all 4 years together. Obviously, guys that know him know he was a special player.
Yeah.
Just incredibly high level, but his ability to keep a calm demeanor throughout games, to be able to put in the work that he did and be lighthearted about things at the same time. The grind of a college season was a lot easier with Dom as one of our leaders. There was a time to laugh. There was a time to grit your teeth and get serious about things, and you could always look to him. So the mental side of the game, just nothing was ever too big for Dom, and understanding the process through which how he got there, and just how everything could be relaxed through him was a big deal to me. If you're in trouble, just knock it towards Dom and he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
That's kind of the slogan. So,
Gotcha.
But that's the guy that I looked at and said, how do you build that technical skill? How did you get there? And
Right.
he was quick to share. He was quick to teach, to help. So just a great guy.
No, that's quality, and again, not to harp on it too much, but we it's a name that you heard coming through Oklahoma collegiate soccer. We're constantly being told about Dom, but it's actually interesting as well that you've pointed out maybe more of the mental side of the game, how he approached that. He was obviously a phenomenal technician, but no, it's cool to see how different players handle the pressure and the competitive side of it. So no, that's very interesting. Now moving into your coaching career a little bit. So you obviously played quite a bit. How did you make the transition into coaching?
Well, my freshman year, as you know, college soccer is in the fall and high school soccer is in the spring. My freshman year at SNU, a new coach had taken over at Bethany, and I had some conversations with him, and we agreed that I would come back as his graduate assistant. And I really enjoyed that first year. Coach Steve Scott was the high school coach that year.
Yep.
His daughter actually plays on the O3s now, Maggie.
It's full circle.
And, yeah, it is. And I learned a lot from Steve, but I learned a lot in that year about how much I enjoyed coaching, especially with the younger boys, the freshmen and sophomores that hadn't really been my teammates. I got to give them bits of information and watch them figure out the game, guide them to success, and I really enjoyed that idea of helping that kid succeed. After college, I coached high school throughout college and a couple years after college, though. I was doing academy with Rich Hudson at North OKC. CBFC, which is Energy West's original name, was forming, and it was Mustang and Yukon combining their competitive teams into one team. And it was at a point where Yukon and Mustang's competitive teams were having success, but you looked at it and there was an age group missing here, an age group missing there. And if you put them together, they were one solid core that could form out quality teams in every age group to begin. And the guys that put the club together had approached me about joining, basically asked me, hey, do you like coaching the younger kids or do you want some older kids? And I said, I'd rather have older kids, actually. And they said, well, we got a deal for you. So that's how I got in with that first year, and love the community, love the club, no reason to leave, and been helping to build, our groups out here since then.
No, that's really cool, and yeah, I think it's a great story about you kind of being here at the inception, and I know there's been a lot of changes, a lot of great times, a lot of dips, but after a drop, we're just going to keep climbing as well. So I'm sure it's been an exciting journey for you, especially jumping on in the beginning, and I know we've spoke a number of times about the amount of talent that does come out of Mustang and Yukon and the surrounding areas, Piedmont, El Reno. We could speak about a lot of these places, but it's one of those things. Can we provide a program? And that was the goal for you guys, and it's certainly not changed a whole lot for us. Can we provide a program where the best talent from these areas can stay and can grow and can get pushed to their full potential?
Sure. And as I've said before, after several years, probably about the time I got done, I coached Southwestern Christian's boys for 2 years with Neil Cagle.
Right.
And actually won an ACCA championship with the boys there, which was a pretty fun year.
That's right. Good
and then
team.
Good group. And actually, that's when Coach Jake Cottage came over that last year.
Yep.
Great player. Big boost for us in the attacking areas. But after that, is kind of when I didn't care so much for recruiting. I liked recruiting the good players, but when you had to fill out other positions, I wasn't good.
Sure.
But that's when I realized something as I was looking at the older groups in our club and the younger groups in our club and seeing the differences between some of them. I said, if we could keep all the Mustang and Yukon players, and of course you're going to get your Piedmont girls or boys, obviously. On the 03s, I got the Weatherford girls that come in and a girl that lives just outside Weatherford. Great players, great for my group. And but if you could add those to the core of Yukon and Mustang players, if we could keep that talent at our club, and I've been saying this for years now, we would have a fierce team in every age group.
Sure.
And you don't keep them all, but that's kind of looking forward at the club is can we build this to where these kids stay, and can we really? We could build some monsters out of the West Metro area. No,
I agree, and that's absolutely the central goal for us, for sure. But it's something I've noticed over the years. I'd always have even when I was at Central and OFC in Edmond, there'd be a sprinkling of Mustang Yukon kids, but really, really talented, and then a little bit of that mentality with the grit and determination, kind of blue collar.
Sure.
But we certainly know how proud these areas are of their own and of the football programs at the high school level and the soccer program. So the real goal is can we provide a club for the communities to be proud of and get behind and continue to push these kids to the highest level. So
absolutely. And we're on a curve, and we've been on a curve since the start, that's trended upward. And like you said, there's been dips, but we've got, like you say, we've got this really good staff in place, and things are going in the right direction for sure. But even this dates back to when I was coming up playing, and you had Evan and Garrett Dressel and Jimmy Nummy and guys like that coming out of the Mustang Yukon area that were just ballers. Guys that came from the same basic place as I was. You see, I mean, the talent's been in the Canadian County area
Sure.
For a long time, and we've been blessed to have it in our club. The goal is, could you keep it all?
No, you're absolutely spot on, and we're certainly glad to have you a part of it to continue that upward trend, as you said. Looking into next year a little bit, on the U19 girls, we've obviously spoke a lot about your background, and you pursued an older team when you first came in, which I found very interesting, because again, I kind of see the same qualities in you in regards to the older age players, where we've kind of come through the foundation and the development stages, and now there's that level of competitiveness, but also continuing to teach and educate. So just speak a little bit about next season's teams, and how you're feeling about going into next year with your 02 and 03 girls.
Sure, yeah. Really excited. We got tryouts are coming up on us, and a little bit different this year because we lost out on most of the spring, but really excited about both groups. Obviously, the 02s had several graduate, which are going to be some big shoes to fill, opportunity to step up and be a key player in that group. Bella Anson and Lauren Rose from Yukon were great players. Henley Lee from Piedmont was a really good player for us. She's actually going to Southwestern in Kansas to play college soccer. Yeah, we're excited for her. So for the 02s, it's just an opportunity for some of these girls to step up and be leaders. Obviously, we're looking to add a couple of girls to that group, and we've been making those connections, working on that. The 03s, bringing back pretty much everyone, and I've had that team since they were in 7th grade, and they're going into their junior year, which is longer than I usually keep them, but had to do a bit of work on this team, and I take a lot of pride in my group, so I'm keeping them. And they're getting to that age now where they're going to be doing the college things, the college recruitment stuff, getting games with college teams on a Sunday instead of playing a league game, doing the showcase tour tournament stuff. It's an exciting thing for me to see these girls go through that process and to help guide them through it. And for the girls that are wanting to play at that next level, for us to be able to facilitate that opportunity is a big deal for me. And we kind of team was all right when we took it. I took it at the age change. If you remember when they did the age change a couple of years ago, and kind of had a starting point there. And some have gone, some have come, some have gone, but just super happy with that group and what their potential is for the next year or two.
No, that's great. And again, we obviously, as we continue to grow and collaborate with all the coaches and myself, we're kind of looking at where can a coach most impact their team and their players, and we certainly kind of see you in that role of the older age kids, and can you be that bit of guidance and that point of contact for any kids that are looking to go on and play at a higher level, and then you can use your network and guide them the right way towards that college level. But another thing that certainly struck me about your teams is, again, it's not always easy keeping these older age teams coming back and interested, and a lot of them decide at a certain point that we're not going to pursue soccer after high school. But for me, I can see there's a real level of enjoyment with your teams, and they keep coming back, and they also want to compete. So speak a little bit about that with both your groups.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's the same story for both groups. You want, we've been lucky with the 02s and 03s of just getting good kids in the girls teams, and what the most difficult thing is with the high school girls is can we get along sometimes, and
Sure.
these groups do a really good job with that. We avoid getting into little cliques of groups, and we're a team as a whole, especially during training, and that guides us into the games in the same way. Um, when we train, I try to obviously we want to focus on the topic. We want to be serious about it, but we want to be able to enjoy the game. We want to be able to enjoy training, especially at an age where there's lots of other things. There's cars and jobs and boys and school and all the things that school offers
Sure.
for extracurricular. So if the kids aren't enjoying it, yeah, when they're younger they're going to enjoy it, but when it's not enjoying it when they're older, it's harder to get them to stay. So we really tried to take an approach in training of can we balance a uh, a work rate with enjoying the process of learning the game and enjoying developing those friendships with our teammates. And those two groups are just it's a joy to work with them because they easily transition from somebody's tripped over the ball and it's funny to back to it and we're back to work.
Right. No, it strikes me, and I got to work with them a little bit when I completed my A license
Sure.
with the old freeze, and they certainly had the real nice balance of we gotta love it, we gotta have fun, but when it's time to compete, they also had that little bit between the teeth, and wanting to do what's best for each other and held each other accountable. So I think the team and yourself have struck up a real nice balance, and it's good to see that at the very heart of everything we do, we got to come back and remember these kids got to love it. They got to enjoy the game, and be excited to show up. I think sometimes we get caught up in curriculums and methodology and what's the topic, but we're not going to get all of that to the level that we want to if the love of the game's not there. So I think
Sure.
it's a real great job, and I'm certainly looking forward to seeing them all at tryouts, and then seeing what they can do next season.
Good. Yeah, we're excited to get started with next year. I'll tell you that. I've had enough texts and calls from players and parents saying
Sure.
May 15th. I'm like, we don't have to start Friday night, guys. We can wait till the weekend.
Yeah, they'll be out there Friday night. That's what I like to hear.
That's what they want.
Big time. Well, we want to shift gears a little bit. Obviously, the main topic has been the game and how you've moved from playing to coaching and your love for the game. But outside of soccer, what does life look like for Brandon?
Well, I do have a full-time job, which I sell environmental water pumps. These are water pumps for landfill leachate remediation, Superfund cleanup sites, chemical companies. Work at a great company. It's called Pumps of Oklahoma, locally owned by some folks that are from Yukon. Kids went to Yukon High School.
Nice.
And just outstanding people all around at the company, and it makes it a lot easier to go to work at 8 a.m. every day to get to know that I get to work with just quality people.
Right.
I'm actually I'm engaged. I got engaged in December.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. And wedding is August, the end of August. It will be warm, but we are very excited about it.
Nice.
My fiance's name is Larissa. She has an 11-year-old son named Deacon. He was a part of the package when I asked, and I was fully aware. He's a really good kid, and getting to grow in a parental role with him has been a lot of fun. A little challenging sometimes. I've got a lot of buddies that are dads that have been great guides for me. I think how would my dad do it? And then I remember that you can't do it how my dad used to do it anymore. You get in trouble.
Yeah, not anymore.
But yeah, we're just really excited about the family unit that we're forming, and the process through which we're going to get there has been it's been a lot of fun, a lot of learning for me, but a lot of fun. So that's something we're really excited about.
That's great.
Also, like, you know, in my free time, I like to golf. You know, it's hard to get a Saturday free, but when the golf courses aren't closed because of coronavirus. So,
Right.
but when we get a chance to get away, I like to golf, fish with the guys, and you know, well-known karaoke performer and DJ.
That's right.
In the evenings, don't worry, the kids can't come. So, but yeah, just that, you know, those are kind of my hobbies away from the game.
Love that. We'll have to organise a OEFC West karaoke night. You're in charge of the music.
Looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to.
We're going to get local sponsors, Brandon on the mic. It's going to be all round a good thing. So you heard it here first. So now we got to do it. It's out there.
I'm looking. I got to know. You got to wonder. We got a lot of flavor. We got a lot of national flavor. There's going to be some interesting song choices.
It's true.
Coach Thomas Sarenga, I can't wait to hear what he will be singing for us.
Yeah.
Coach Nick Burleson will be doing Huey Lewis in the News, most likely.
You a deep country guy. What do you sing on the karaoke?
Oh, everything, man. Everything, yeah. Go pretty heavy on some Billy Joel.
Wow.
Do a little of the Garth Brooks and George Strait. I'm a crowd pleaser. I kind of read the room.
You're always going to get a good reaction doing Garth Brooks in Oklahoma.
In Oklahoma, you do a Garth Brooks song and everybody's going to sing with you. So you don't have to do well. You get everybody joined in. But yeah, you kind of got to read the crowd on this stuff, Danny. You know, you want to get the applause meter up.
That's right. I got to leave it to the professional. I'd be singing Rod Stewart and.
Great choice. Great choice.
I suppose. Yeah, can't go wrong there. Can't go wrong. Well, listen, it's been really enjoyable. I've learned a thing or two about you. It's great that personal life is going great. We always want to hear that about our coaches and hopefully some of the players and parents maybe have a new perspective on you and have learned a little bit about your background. But we certainly appreciate you taking the time out of your Friday night to chat with us.
Oh, yeah. Glad to do it, man. I had a good time.
Awesome. Well, listen, we look forward to seeing Brandon and these 02 and 03 girls at tryouts and resuming the season out at the training field and then really looking forward to next season. So with that, we'll wrap up our first go around at our Person Behind the Coach podcast. It's currently unsponsored. So if you have a local business that you want to plug and give back to the club and put towards scholarships and fundraising, then certainly get in touch. We'd love to have a local sponsor and support the community as they support us. Be on the lookout for the next one. Hope to have a new coach on. So hopefully we get most of the coaches knocked out before tryouts so you can come on and have a little look who you're getting next season and get to know a little bit more about them. But with that, we'll wish you good night and goodbye, and hopefully everybody's staying safe, and we can't wait to see you soon. Appreciate you guys.
We'll see you, Danny.
Thanks, Brandon. Top man.